Good evening, guys. We'll start in about 60 seconds. I just want to, usual spiel, get online early. Radna's around. We'll show her off. Fiji water. She'll be very impressed. You can get it open. No, it's not that bad. I'm not on soft foods yet. I know, but I have to prod. I'll do that again. It felt good. I know. This place, the heat will be on in July. Somebody misread the instructions. All right. Salut. Votre santé. Not too bad out, but it's supposed to get cold next week, not this week.
Yeah, no. Very mild yesterday.
Good evening. It's 7 o'clock here in the northeast of the United States, and this is Kunchab Tarduling, aka the Tibet Center, a Buddhist meditation study center located in New York City and northern New Jersey. And this is our twice weekly presentation of the Buddha Dharma, specifically Stages on the Path to Enlightenment, or in Tibetan, the Lamrim Chenmo by KHAPA'S. We are in the Lower East Side of New York City on Tuesdays. On Wednesdays, we go back to Jersey. Any problems with the transmission, the sound, picture, etc., please text me or text Mr. Smith. All the prayers we say are on the Tibet Center website, in the FAQ section. Scroll down to prayers. If there's anyone for whom you want us to pray for who has passed away recently, place their names in the chat box. And good evening, Leslie. Yes, I see you're alive and well, so that's good. Anyway, we'll start because we have a lot to do tonight. It should be entertaining. There'll be an animal act and everything else. I'm the animal act, never mind. By the force of the blessings of the non-fallacious three precious gems and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddhist teaching flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West. For all the people living here together with their near ones who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them, may all conditions adverse to their practice of the pure Dharma be dispelled, and an excellent collection of favorable conditions increase like the waxing moon. And especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the victorious one's teachings, which are the source of benefit and happiness, may they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and may this spontaneously happen just as we have hoped and wished. The Heart Sutra. Thus have I heard once. The Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a big gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the samadhi which examines the dharmas, called profound illumination. And at the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva, mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, how should those noble ones learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge? And Avalokiteshvara answered, Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this, seeing the five skandhas and their natural emptiness. Form is empty. Emptiness itself is form. Emptiness is not separate from form. Form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Thus, all the dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind consciousness. There are no nidanas from ignorance to old age and death, nor their wearing out. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, since there is no attainment, the bodhisattvas abides by means of transcendent knowledge. And since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. They transcend falsity and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future by means of transcendent knowledge, fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering should be known as truth, for there is no deception. In transcendent knowledge, the mantra is proclaimed, Tayato Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhisoha. Well, Shariputra, this is how a Bodhisattva Mahasattva should learn profound transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and praised the Bodhisattva Mahasattva of Avalokiteshvara, saying, Good, good, O son of noble family, profound, transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering in the world with its gods, humans, Asuras, and Gandharvas, their hearts full of joy, praised the words of the Blessed One. And now, refuge and bodhisattva vow, which we recite 3 times. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. All right, so it's on tap tonight. Tonight,
Can you just remove the computer over like 2 inches?
this way.
Yeah, perfect.
Hello. Oh, you're here. It's roasting hot in here for a change. Very nice. All right, 3 things we're going to do tonight. We're going to some advice from His Holiness from approaching the Buddhist path. This is the new Lam Rim, the 21st century Lam Rim in 10 volumes. Then we'll talk about praise for dependent relativity, the prayer that His Holiness recommended Tibet Center students say and reflect on as a cause for the quick return of Rato Chungla Rinpoche. And then we'll go to the good old Lam Rim. But all these topics are under the umbrella of the 3rd volume of the Lam Rim. We're talking about insight into emptiness. And these are various either preparations for it or the thing itself. You can't just jump into the study of emptiness. You have to be prepared with the basic preliminaries, refuge, etc. The 3 principles. You have to have some sort of 3 baskets, or the 3 main parts of Buddhist teachings: ethics, concentration, wisdom. You have to have some ethical character to calm the mind down. When the mind is sufficiently calmed down, you can restrain yourself somewhat. Then you're ready to sit to develop concentration. Once you develop concentration at a good level, calm abiding, etc., then you can get insight into emptiness or whatever else you want easily. So those are if you don't go in that order, you're in trouble. The Lamrim is set out for a reason. So we're going to talk about, this is from, where's the page? Get over here. Role models. His Holiness on page 213. Yes, 213 of Approaching the Buddhist Path. Well, there it is. We're approaching it now. All right, good. Found our way. It's a big deal. We finally have the address to get out of the misery that we're in, and then we can deliver everybody else. So even though we're just beginners, this is a breakthrough, just hearing this. So, role models, page 213, His Holiness starts. When engaging in a new activity, we naturally look to role models for guidance and inspiration. Spiritual practice is no exception. In the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, the two types of prominent role models we find are the scholar/commentator, such as a Sangha and Chandrakirti, and the ascetic meditators, such as Saraha or Milarepa. Saraha is very interesting. We've had some of his poems. He was a teacher of Nagarjuna. More will be said later on when we need some entertainment. We'll go to his works. Occasionally, His Holiness says, we find examples of people who are both ascetic and scholars, etc., such as Naropa, Zapatrul Rinpoche, or Sankapa. Because they are usually depicted in one role or the other, we tend to forget that most of the great scholars were also great yogis, and that the great meditators often became so after years of study and debate in either this or previous lives. So there's nothing dramatic about no instant this or that. You have to have preparation in the mind stream from previous lives at least. And maybe you're on the verge in this life, you hear a few lines and you come to fruition. That would be nice. However, hearing about these historical figures, we may receive the unspoken message that to be successful in the Dharma, we have to become either a great scholar or a great meditator. Where does that leave us? But where does that leave people who are drawn to neither role, like most of us? What about the average practitioner who does her best according to her own disposition? Each of us wants to feel that we are successful in our own way. Problem, Darren?
No.
We're not coming out?
I know it was unplugged.
Oh, it's unplugged. Oh, okay, that helps. We're running on the battery here then. I see. So each of us wants to feel that we're successful in our own way. Yes, we're always looking for a little guidepost. What mark did I get? So that's the way we are, but let him explain. We must remember, and this is a big key point right now. Get ready, wrap yourself in. We must remember that success in Dharma practice is not dependent on societal recognition. The law of karma and its effect is not duped by hypocrisy. We'll say that again, because we must remember success in Dharma practice is not dependent on societal recognition. The law of karma and its effect is not duped by hypocrisy. I'm getting an error message there, and what is this? Oh no, cancel. They're asking me for updates. They crazy in the middle of this. I got it. I get rid of it. Yeah. Tech dictatorship. That's what we're under right now. Dictatorship of the technocrats. So society's metrics don't apply here. So leaving this life with a great collection of merit, fewer negativities, and the imprints from having heard and practiced many teachings are signs of a successful Dharma practice. Fame is not. Oh, so when they teach it, he talks here. No. How much merit did you gather in this life? How much wisdom did you gather? That's the metric we're looking at. In seeking out role models, children, she slips in now her comment, and she's, American, very good nun. Look to the Buddha himself, she says. In sutra passages and in artwork, he is depicted in a variety of situations, sitting and meditating peacefully, speaking fearlessly to a crowd of non-Buddhists, tending to the needs of a sick monk, talking to merchants, courtesans, royalty, and paupers, everybody, in other words. He addresses one person gently and scolds a monk with wrong views. He instructs that the food remaining from a meal offered to the Sangha be given to the poor. In one instance, He praises the merit of a beggar who mentally offered the meal with a good motivation over the wealthy patron who actually gave the food but lacked a generous intention. So you see what the value is. What's the mental position? That's what Buddha's interested in. The material thing, unless it's connected to a good inner motivation, isn't as important as the motivation. The beggar had nothing, but he said, he watched this great big banquet the king gave us him. So I wish I could do that someday. And when it was time to dedicate the merit of the meal, the Buddha dedicated not to the king, because he read his mind and saw where his mind was at, but to the beggar. Okay, the next day the king put on a feast and did it with the right motivation. So he got his money back. I don't know. He got his merit anyway. So that's the story that goes on in different iterations. The point is, it's the mind. It's the mind, stupid. He consoles a woman whose child died and those fearing the loss of their parents. In other words, he was out in the field. He was out among the people. He was a pastor in some ways among the people. The Buddha sits on the forest trees. He walks in towns. He spends time with others and is often alone. He speaks with men and women, monastics and lay. He knows how to address intellectuals, wandering ascetics, non-believers, the grieving, the impoverished, the criminals. The Buddha is everyone's person. He fits no stereotype. We have to be that too. That would be us. If you want to find out more about the Buddha as a person, I've heard Chodron and a few others say that you read the Pali Canon. There's plenty of it around. There you get the sense of his personality, because a lot of dialogue back and forth, and you see how he reacts to this or that situation. There's a lot of it translated now by Bhikkhu Bodhi, available all over. There's even PDFs. So if you want, look into it, the Nikayas, etc. The Buddha engaged in so many diverse activities that he can serve as a role model for many different kinds of people with diverse interests. Diverse interests, yes. We can let go of the critical self-judgment that may arise if we aren't among the best of the debaters or the most realized yogis. Get rid of that. Critical self-judgment doesn't help you. Not judging, but being aware of your progress is very important. But take that harsh judgment out of it, like you're competing with someone. This is not competition. That's capitalism's world, or the world we're in. The internal world is different. How are we progressing? Are we less mad? Situation that drove us crazy 2 years ago don't now? Well, that's an indicator of progress. And that will always last. The mind has improved, and that carries on to the rest of our lives. So that's what we're looking for here. It's important for each of us to find our own way of living a Dharma life while internally cultivating the same qualities of wisdom, bodhicitta, and so forth. We're on our own. We have freedom. That's it. Batteries not included, but you don't need them. Anyway, in thinking of the diversity of Tibetan adepts, the three lineages of Kadam practitioners come to mind. These are the old people who, the Kadampas started the mind training texts, etc., followed Atisha. One group practiced mainly Lamrim, following Atisha's Lamp of the Path and other texts, without studying philosophy extensively or debating very much. They just went through the Lamrim, tried to do the meditations. The second group emphasized philosophical studies and debate, integrating this into their Lamrim meditation. The third group relied mainly on personal instructions. On the personal instructions they received from their spiritual mentors and meditated on those. So the one-to-one relationship. People. Probably at some time in our spiritual lives, plural, will be all of these, whatever the situations require. Some Kadam practitioners displayed a great devotion to their teachers and served them assiduously. Others stayed alone or practiced with a small group of companions. Some were teachers, others were not. Their biographies show that they had very different personalities. They did not squeeze themselves into a predetermined role or persona in order to be successful practitioners. You don't act like the pious new monk. Yes. Come on. Don't do that. Nobody's impressed by that, especially in this day and age. We've had enough. No, you just be polite. Follow. A monastic should follow what? The Vinaya rule. We have a monastic in the house. Monastics in the house. But no, really. So that's a rules of behavior, and that helps everyone. So I often comment on on the importance of Buddhists being engaged in social welfare projects, is His Holiness now saying. And for some people, that is the natural expression of their Dharma practice. And now, Chodron's mentioning Master Cheng Yen. Leon, do you know Master Cheng Yen? The nun? No? The Chinese bhikkhuni who founded the Tzu Chi Foundation. You know about that Tzu Chi Foundation? She practiced in a hut is a good example. She practiced in a hut in Taiwan for years, bowing to each syllable of the Lotus Sutra. Heavy practice. Villagers recall unusual light emanating from her hut. Later, she saw a poor person being turned away from a medical clinic, and she began to construct hospitals for the impoverished on her own and done with no money. Now she directs an international welfare organization whose volunteers travel around the globe to offer aid when disasters and emergencies occur. Master Chen Yang remains humble and peaceful in demeanor, yet her firm determination to benefit others has inspired thousands. There is a waiting list to volunteer at her welfare centers in Taiwan. A simple nun with just a good mind and a good intention. No, it's a big deal. Good role model. I'm sure she doesn't debate or something like that, but you know about her. I'm getting a feed from someone who knows. What?
She began to get up money. People give $1, and
So she went and begged for money, gathered money, and brought about her own social welfare agencies. Internationally, right? Not just Taiwan, internationally. So one person. I never heard of it until I read this book, but I never heard of a lot of things. Anyway, I'm inspired, really. As Buddhists, we should encourage those who want to live as renounced meditators after completing their studies. We should also support those whose talents lie in study and teachings, or compassionate service, or social engagement. Each of us must find the suitable way to combine study, meditation, and service in our own lives. Very real world. Dharma practitioners have a variety of personalities. Oh, yes. In the early sutras, we meet Mahakasyapa, who engaged in ascetic practices allowed by the Buddha. He appears austere, aloof, and perhaps a bit rigid as well. Ananda, the Buddha's personal attendant, is sociable and kind and compassionately looks after others. Looking at a wide variety of role models widens our perspective. While in different stages of their spiritual path over many lives, they're expressing a certain positive personality. Sometimes it's necessary to act a certain way. Bodhisattva, His Holiness continues, Bodhisattvas are depicted in several ways in the scriptures. Some live in society, helping those they encounter. Some are royalty, who affect the welfare of others through promulgating fair policies and sharing their wealth. Some are members who support the Sangha and give generously to those in need. Some live with the most neglected people in society, uplifting them materially and with the Dharma. They show up everywhere. Some bodhisattvas live in pure lands where they make elaborate offerings and learn from the principal Buddha there. Some bodhisattvas teach the Dharma to multitudes. Others teach to a few through their example. All these ways of living bodhicitta apply now as well. Yes, right now. So live a good life, just your demeanor and your example is the best teaching. So, tantric adepts, oh, what is he saying, everyone? Tantric? Are often portrayed living eccentric lives and sometimes acting outrageously, transgressing the social mores of their time. While many of us admire someone who is not constrained by conventions, this image of tantric adepts can be misleading, especially if emulating it feeds our craving for attention, contempt for society, or unhealthy psychological states. Amen. Look around. Nowadays, it is better to practice as the mind training teachings advise, externally appearing simple, internally living with love, compassion, and bodhicitta, and discreetly practicing Tantra. We'll say it again. Nowadays, it is better to practice as the mind training teachings advise, externally appearing simple, internally living with love, compassion, and bodhicitta, and discreetly practicing Tantra. You know, put it on your on your shirt or something, or wrap yourself in these costumes. No. In short, do not become rigid in your notion of a successful Dharma life. Know that due to karma, people have different mentalities and interests and different opportunities as well. Encourage yourself and encourage others to abandon negativity, create virtue, and cultivate wisdom and compassion. Respect all practitioners and rejoice at whatever virtue anyone creates. Actually, we're not in a position to judge people. We can't read their minds or anything. We really don't know. So don't waste time. You know, this one's that one's this. Relax. This isn't touchscreen, right, Darren? So I want to roll up the chat box. No, I just want to see. No, it's not going. It's all right.
It's not touch.
That's 4 of them, 3 of them. So this is called making progress. Now, I don't know how long I'm going to spend on this because it's a long one, but I think it's necessary. Making progress. His Holiness is on page 217. All of us want our Dharma practice to bear fruit, but even with good intention, it is easy to deviate from the path. We can get sidetracked in several ways. Being aware of potential pitfalls in advance helps us to avoid them. And knowing the signs of making progress on the path enables us to accurately assess our practice. So what metrics are we applying now? Realistic expectations. Realistic expectations is the title of this section. We have both a useful and a useless sense of self. What? We have a sense of self. We have a useful one and a useless one. What's the useless one? The unrealistic sense of self operates without sound reason, just on the grounds of, I want this or that. So if you hear, I want this and I'm going to have that, you know, the internal dialogue, I got to have this, the root beer, whatever you're after in that instant. The sense of self is the root of our dukkha, unsatisfaction, and is eliminated by the realization of emptiness. Well, that's good. There's an antidote. The positive sense of self operates on the basis of reason. It is the basis for bodhisattva's strong self-confidence, without which they would be unable to confront and subdue the self-centered attitude, the big poison. Afflictions are overcome in stages, not all at once. Maybe this is bad news, but I think it's very good news because it's realistic. It's the truth. The first time a layer of them is eradicated is upon gaining a direct non-conceptual perception of emptiness. What? Yes. That when you really get rid of a layer of them, eradicated, not suppressed, eradicated, is your first direct non-conceptual perception of emptiness. Before that, when we encounter circumstances that give rise to our afflictions, we must practice ethical conduct and employ the antidote specific to each affliction in order to prevent harmful behavior. We really have to fight it. To develop such self-control, 2 factors are crucial too, right? A sense of personal integrity and consideration for others. I have a sense of myself that I don't want to be this or that. I want to operate in a moral framework. Okay, that's your integrity. And then consideration for others, which is taken care of by bodhicitta. I see this, but personal integrity enables us to abandon negativities because we respect our values and precepts. I took these vows. I want to be this way. Oh, so this was voluntary on my part. Let me carry it out. Consideration for others does this because we care about the effect of our bad behavior on others. Some people mistakenly believe that if they do some spiritual practice for a short time, they will continue to progress even if they do not actively practice. I started it going, and now it's no. Not what he's saying anyway. I used to think that way. Sometimes I still do, but anyway, wrong. If we practice consistently, progress will definitely occur. But if we do not, our afflictions will arise effortlessly and lead to destructive actions, bringing more misery. We're very well familiar with our afflictions. They come up very easily. We don't have to motivate ourselves to do this or that. They come up. So we have to motivate ourselves to suppress them until we have realizations of emptiness where they're not going to come up anymore. Vajrayana, the tantric path, speaks of awakening in this life. I heard about that. Some traditions or teachers speak of a direct, swift path to an awakening. Swift path, what? Hearing this, some people develop unrealistic expectations, thinking that they will have quick results from doing just a little practice. Personally speaking, all these statements remind me of communist propaganda. It's a sales talk. The salesman said you'll be, just pay here and you'll get enlightenment in 2 weeks. Very good. How then should we understand the statements in some tantric texts that one attains awakening in 1 moment? If this is the case, why do we need to practice step by step as stated in all the other teachings? Yeah. To understand them correctly, we must know the context within which these statements are made. The audience they're made to also is another factor. His Holiness goes on. The meaning of 1 moment and 1 short instant varies in different situations. Okay? The duration of phenomena is understood in relation to other phenomena. Take that as an axiom. The duration of a phenomenon is understood in relation to other phenomena. He'll explain. Compared to the beginninglessness of cyclic existence, the age in which we live in is like 1 moment. Really. Likewise, when one attains strong concentrations, hundreds of eons may appear to that person as just 1 moment. And 1 moment may appear as an eon. This should shake you up. If a person has accumulated extensive merit in her previous life, she may gain realizations or attain awakening in this life. In this case, 1 lifetime is the meaning of 1 moment. I can read that again if you want. I will. You want it? No? Is it tough? You got the idea? Read it again? No. No, okay, I won't. But this does not mean that this person completed the entire path in only 1 brief lifetime. That person must have collected extensive merit and wisdom during many lifetimes, such that when she meets a particular external situation in this lifetime, realizations or awakening appears to come swiftly. Eons ago, she began the path as an initial level practitioner and actualized the steps to awakening gradually life after life. The swift results in the present life are a product of hard work in previous lives. Now, we're not clairvoyant, or maybe you are, but can't go back to see what we were doing in the past. So we'll leave it at that. Let His Holiness continue. Westerners are practical and want immediate results. Their eagerness to see results motivates them to practice. However, if they go on retreat and return home at more or less the same level, they may think Dharma practice does not work and give it up. Unrealistic expectations, put that in that column. Okay. His Holiness goes on. Tibetans may go to the other extreme. They believe in the 5 paths and 10 bodhisattva grounds, but tend to be complacent and think these things can be developed later. They lack a sense of urgency and do not exert a lot of effort. It seems hybrid practitioners are best. Those who are motivated, enthusiastic, and practice what they learn, but are also relaxed and patient. Here's a nice mental attitude to cultivate. These practitioners seek awakening quickly for the benefit of sentient beings, but accept that it will take a long time to become Buddhas and are willing to practice however long it takes. To illustrate the necessity of gradual training, the Buddha uses a simile about a thoroughbred colt. This is from the Majjhima Nikaya, number 65, one of the Pali texts. At first, the colt, the horse, is completely wild, so the trainer must get him used to wearing a bit. Because it is something the colt has never done before, he is obviously uncomfortable. But with constant repetition and gradual practice, he gets used to it and is peaceful when wearing the bit. At that time, the trainer introduces the harness, which is new to the colt. Again, the colt tries to throw it off, but with repetition and practice, he eventually becomes used to it and wears it happily. Now, the trainer progressively trains the colt to keep in step, run in a circle, prance, gallop, charge, and so forth. The colt initially resists each new step, but eventually becomes familiar with each task and masters it. When the colt is thoroughly trained and able to do many things that he could not do before, he's fit for the king. Similarly, you want to be fit for the king, son? Similarly, when we train as Dharma practitioners, we will come up against many things that are unfamiliar. True. We may be incapable of doing some of them at present, be afraid of them, or lack the confidence to try them. It's natural. Don't worry about it. But if we have a wise spiritual mentor and, like the cult, allow ourselves to be trained and continue to train even when we initially feel some discomfort, good results will come. Eventually, we will accomplish all the causes and conditions necessary to attain awakening. Now, we don't have to get used to something. We can reason into this and why we're doing it. Makes it very easy. The poor cult can't understand, but just gets used to it. At present, we are ordinary beings whose minds are completely under the influence of the three poisonous attitudes of ignorance, anger, and attachment. Attachment, aversion, ignorance, whatever. Day in and day out, these difficult to control, unwelcome, disturbing emotions and wrong conceptions arise in our mind. By themselves, where do they come from? Past habits, past habitual behavior. They just are there. We don't, let me get angry now. What are the steps to getting angry? No, it just blows up. Since this is the case, His Holiness continues, since this is the case, it is reasonable to think that we will be able to Is it reasonable to think that we will be able to quickly remove the cloud of afflictions once and for all? If we tried, it would be difficult. In fact, it is hard to have a peaceful mind for more than a few minutes. That's the nature of the beast. Now, how could you verify this? Go look at your mind. See how long it's peaceful. With practice, the peaceful moments get longer and longer. It's easier to suppress the afflictions. They don't overpower you as quickly. That's progress. No one's going to give you money for that. No one's going to put your name on the wall or anything. That's progress. And that's progress that now will cover your future lives. No matter what field of knowledge His Holiness says we want to master, we cannot learn everything at once. We must study step by step and progress gradually. This also applies to gaining transcendental realizations, which are beyond our ordinary understanding right now. Eliminating afflictions depends on generating strong counter forces to them, and this requires time. These counter forces are virtuous qualities which are cultivated gradually, each successive step depending on its own causes and conditions. Don't forget causes and conditions. Create the causes, get the result. That's all. It is fruitless to expect an outcome without creating the causes that will produce it. On the path to awakening, it behooves us to study the teachings well, so we'll know how to create the specific causes and conditions for our spiritual goals and the order in which to do the various practices. There it is. Just find out exactly what you should do. Quietly take your time. Well, add this, add that, and let it go. Create the causes. Let the merit of those causes give their results. The positivity of those causes, whatever you want to put. You got the idea. Then we can practice with delight and enthusiasm, knowing that realizations will come when all causes and conditions are assembled. This delight and enthusiasm I've seen on certain ordained people and some lay practitioners that have been doing it for a while. Very happy in their vows, very happy in their practice. And it sort of brings a nice atmosphere around them. So, reading each day with the thought, will realizations finally come today? Will only make us agitated. Such impatience is the opposite of the attitude necessary for our practice to be effective. When am I going to get enlightened? It's late. To grow peas, he's giving an agricultural example now. We must first till the ground, fertilize it, plant pea seeds in the springtime, and then water them. When this has been done, we relax and give the seeds time to grow. We don't dig them up every day to see if they have sprouted yet. Hello, down there. No, we don't nag ourselves. Yet, instead, we remain content knowing that they will grow in their own time. We've planted seeds, and lamas have planted seeds in our mind stream. Darren, I'm getting transmission is stuck. You stuck there?
Keep going.
Keep going? It's all right?
Yep.
Okay, good. Leslie, oh, she can't hear me. So. Reboot. No, not your sandals, your boots. Never mind. Once at a large public teaching, someone asked me what was the quickest and easiest path to awakening. I began to weep, His Holiness saying, because I sensed the person wanted to attain a lofty goal without engaging in the process of getting there. Thoughts of great practitioners, such as Milarepa, flooded my mind. They practiced joyfully, even under difficult conditions, because they wanted to attain awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings, not for themselves. They were willing to undergo whatever was necessary to create the causes for awakening because they were convinced in the depths of their heart that this was the most worthwhile thing to do. There's the power. There's the energy center. Convince yourself that this is the most worthwhile thing you can do in life. To attain results like these great practitioners did, we must cultivate the same compassionate motivation and enthusiastic effort. So you develop this by reading, contemplating, understanding, trying to talk to lamas or whoever's around, listen to other teachings, whatever. When I cultivate enthusiasm, His Holiness says, to achieve Buddhahood in this lifetime, in the back of my mind, I have the idea of numerous lives and many eons. Thus, my prayer becomes, in order to serve sentient beings, may I attain Buddhahood, if possible, within this lifetime, but more likely after countless lives. Why? His Holiness answers the question, if we think of attaining awakening in this life, but lack the perspective of many lifetimes, an aerial view of the whole continuum of being, our wish is unrealistic and may lead to despair when we do not progress quickly as we would like. I've seen despair, depression, etc., the whole 9 yards, because you have unrealistic expectations. Be happy with what you're doing now. That's reward enough. A view accepting future lives is critical to maintain a long-term joyful motivation, free from both idealism and despair. Some Westerners have genuine interest in Buddhism, but have difficulty accepting multiple lifetimes and eons of existence. Something new to us. We were never thinking that this one lifetime is all that exists. They want to see immediate progress, fast food and fast awakening. Yeah, you know what that is. But the latter is not possible. I do not know how to help them maintain a joyful motivation, given how difficult it is to attain Buddhahood in this lifetime. If that's what you want, you're going to have problems. Some goal-oriented people think of nirvana and awakening as things to achieve, yet they do not want to do what is necessary to get there. They seek transcendental experiences in meditation, but are reluctant to change bad habits such as harsh speech, lying, and taking intoxicants. Here, too, it is difficult to guide them. Your whole being has to be involved in this, not just the hour of meditation. The rest of your life, you're really difficult. No. Transforming the mind is a process. Awareness of this brings our attention to the present moment, for the time to practice is now. A process-oriented approach also rouses us to examine our daily activities in light of the Dharma and to see that progress is made by transforming our thoughts. That's all. You don't build a house, you don't put on a new outfit, you don't do that. You transform your thoughts, your emotions, your speech, and behavior. Some of my Western students comment to me that Buddhist scriptures talk about either deluded people who consistently create destructive karma or bodhisattvas whose motivation and conduct are pure. They wonder how to practice when they are in between these two extremes. Now he explains this. It's something we probably worried about. I think so. I have. Bodhisattvas' wonderful deeds are activities to emulate and inspire us to practice. That's why they mention them. The scriptures always present the ideal. For if they didn't, we wouldn't know what to aim for and would think mediocre attainments were the best. So there's a reason for praising this one who did this and that. That's your goal, guys. But no one, except maybe ourselves, expects us to master the bodhisattva practices instantly. While I admire the abilities of the great bodhisattvas and spiritual mentors, I do not expect myself to practice as they do. This is the Dalai Lama talking. Given my present situation, but endeavoring to think and act as they do, I am confident that gradually these abilities will take root and grow within me. He's being humble, but I can't judge him. So take him at face value. Thinking of the Buddha as having always been awakened creates unnecessary obstacles in our mind. The Buddha is not inherently existent. He wasn't always awakened. The Buddha is not an inherently existent awakened being. Repeating for effort. He was once an ordinary confused being like us. And through gradual, consistent practice, he transformed his mind and attained Buddhahood. That's right. He had all the nasty habits we have: jealousy, anger, this and that. I want this, I don't want that, on and on. But he changed. We are no different from him. We have Buddha nature, the same core being. If we joyfully persevere in creating the causes, we too will become Buddhists. Joyfully persevere in creating the causes, we too will become Buddhists. Ooh, I'm running out of time. Probably will not get to the Lamrim. We'll just do a little of the verse number six from this book. Praise for the dependent relativity. Sorry, but this is very important. These ground rules for practice help us very much. Because you walk into these teachings with the wrong mindset, you're going to get nowhere and get aggravated. And it's happening. You could see it. Yeah. So we did the fourth verse. Now we do sixth verse. Sixth verse, as it's here. The verses on the printout that we have on our phones are different from the layout in this section. They sort of broke up the verses into different numerations. This section is called, this is from this Praise for Dependent Relativity, page 49. The mind of crystal, dependent relativity and selflessness. Dependent relativity and selflessness is the chapter. The mind of crystal clarity that sees ultimate reality directly is initially developed by thinking long and hard about why reality has to be the way it is. Oh, why is it this way? And he said, thinking long and hard. How dependent relativity is the chief reasoning that establishes ultimate truth is the subject of this book. And it's the subject of the section of Lamrim we're dealing with now. So we're in the same ballpark. This is not to say, however, that the Buddhist path to freedom consists solely of training in reasoning and logic. The complete path has three divisions known as the three higher trainings, which I went through before, but now for reinforcement, we repeat it. The training in ethics, concentration, and wisdom. And the type of Buddhism that flourished in Tibet, Mahayana Buddhism, emphasizes the practice of compassion and concern for others to an extraordinary degree. So add that on. We should strive to possess the compassionate motivation to benefit all sentient beings. This does a lot of the work for us. If you can look at reasons for acting this way, switch your mind to being concerned for others mostly as much as you can, does a lot of the work. Calms you down, makes you cheerful. You try it. You like it? Yeah, try it, really. It's useful. If we can follow suitable moral guidelines and restrain from harming others, our minds will become steadier and less scattered. The cause, the result. Moral guidelines makes our minds steadier and less scattered. This gives us a sound basis for building up strong concentration, which when coupled with our wisdom understanding will lead to insights. That's it. The teachings on ethical discipline, concentration, and compassion are not the main subject of this book. No, we're talking about emptiness here. But it is important to keep in mind that they are all essential components of the path to enlightenment. The mind has to be conditioned properly. And for Buddhahood, you must have unlimited compassion, bodhicitta. For Tantra, you must have bodhicitta or it won't work. The subject of this book falls into the category of wisdom, which is not surprisingly where reasoning and logic are most needed. Before we can meditate productively on the ultimate nature of reality, we must first form a clear picture of what ultimate truth is. You can't handle the ultimate truth, right? For most of us, this will require plenty of study, discussion, and reflection, and a willingness to try to reason things out. To proceed by intuition or meditation alone will only lead to frustration. You got the warning. This is Losang Gyatso and Reverend Woodhouse. Suppose we have to tell a child to go to Moscow to meet his father. I don't know why they pick Moscow. Never mind. Let the examples go. Some of them are weird. The two examples now are going to be a little strange, but just saying that Moscow is in Russia and giving him a reason for going and telling him to go will not achieve a great deal. It's a child. He's a young child. He doesn't have the slightest idea where Moscow and Russia are. They're not go there today, by the way. And still less does he know about how to get there, what documents he requires, and so forth. If he did set off on his own without any instruction, he will quickly get lost or become discouraged and give up. Much as he might actually want to go. He may want to go, but I gave up. I can't get. Or what if someone were given a gun and told to shoot a deer? These are Buddhists talking this way. Shut up. Anyway, it's an example that'll stick in our minds. Someone given a gun, told to shoot a deer, but he had no idea what a deer looked like or where to find one. He might go out and fire his gun at something else. He might even shoot another person. So what about someone who, hearing that people reach nirvana by meditating on the emptiness of self and all phenomena, immediately sit down with eyes closed? Yeah, what about that? That's what everybody does. Then investigate what it really is. So it's not that far-fetched. Even if she has inspiration and enthusiasm, it is not her quest equally certain to end in discouragement and failure? Yes. You didn't look ahead to see where we're going. You don't have a map. You don't have a guideline. You're going to sit down like this, very rigid, and show off to your friends that I meditated 2 hours today. And they'll say Mazel Tov. I don't know what they'll say. It depends on who your friends are. The city of Moscow and a deer are much easier to recognize than the subtle levels of ignorance that afflict our minds. Well, that's for sure. Even I can figure out where Moscow is. We need to investigate far more deeply to locate and eradicate this type of ignorance. It is not something that glaringly says, here I am, get rid of me. That's the problem. I wish it was. We all do. Generosity, patience, restraint from harming others, compassion, these are practices to be treasured. Anyone who wants to imitate Buddha or other great spiritual teachers must strive for these qualities. But the Indian consequentialist master Chandra Kirti calls these good qualities sightless. What? Passion, etc. Sightless? One needs the guidance of wisdom and correct insight into emptiness to progress towards Buddhahood. They have to be guided. Here's the example. He says in his supplement to the Treatise of the Middle Way, when a group of blind folk are led with ease by one with sight to where they wish, here wisdom takes the sightless qualities and likewise go to subduer's stage. In other words, you want to reach Buddhahood. You want to reach a city, but you're blind, you can't see, but a guide comes and takes you right there. You want to achieve Buddhahood and you have compassion, this and that, but you don't know how to direct these good qualities towards enlightenment. Wisdom takes you there. The paramitas, especially the prajna paramita. All the other 5 are sightless in one way until they're directed by wisdom and applied to liberation and then Buddhahood. Developing the wisdom that realizes the ultimate is not a hypothetical abstract philosophy. It isn't. It is a process of looking within to transform our experience, our precious human intelligence guided by a path of reasoning as practically helpful as it is far-reaching. We are unlikely to understand just by reading someone's advice. We have to find the mental space in which to do some reflection. Yes. You've been given the advice, now you got to think it over and bring it to fruition, cultivate it, whatever. We have to find the mental space to do some reflection. Is there really a way for the mind to become immaculately pure, free of all limitations, all obscurations? Really? Do all negative emotions that shut down the mind's natural creativity arise from an initial distorted misapprehension of the self? What could that misunderstanding be? And that's the Buddhist theory. All our trouble, everything that causes us to be less than what we should be is in that sense of self. It's an unrealistic projection of reality. We respond to this false reality that we create, and boy, are we in trouble. You can't win. You walked into a casino in Las Vegas. You're not going to win ever in any life. Somewhat like that. That's it. So we'll continue tomorrow, other Buddhist schools, how they think, and we'll get to the Lama tomorrow night. Tomorrow night being Wednesday, and we will be at the parsonage in South Orange. All are welcome. Come one, come all. If you're in India, just take a plane right away to Newark Airport. No. His Holiness, by the way, the 28th in India, which is the 27th here, which is tomorrow night, will be giving teachings. I forgot, Chandra Kirti's, right? Madhyamaka Avatara, what's
No,
it?
I think it's Nagarjuna.
Nagarjuna, even better.
Not the middle way.
David Grun, Grun, David Grun, Grun.
Nagarjuna is in praise of Dharma Dhatu.
Nagarjuna is in praise of Dharma Dhatu will be the topic. And whatever His Holiness says, I listen to. You don't have to, you do what you want. But it's an easy way without having to go to India. Sit there. And it's always archived, so you can't stay up late because of the problem with Indian time. And watch it the next day. Download it, put it in a spot on your machine, and then you have it when you need it. He embodies, well, I can go on praising him, but the time is limited. Anyway. Suit to the recollection of the Noble Three Jewels. One person is David Grun that we're praying for. Anyone else? Nobody, right? And all the people involved in all the conflicts, the innocent people especially. Everyone's innocent. They're just ignorant. They don't know what they're doing on both sides of any conflict. So I prostrate to the omniscient one. Thus the Buddha, Bhagavad Tathagata, Arahat Samyak Sang Buddha, the learned and virtuous one, the Sugata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans is the Buddha Bhagavat. The Tathagata is in accord with all merit. He does not waste the roots of virtue. He is completely ornamented with all patience. He is the basis of the treasures of merit. He is adorned with the minor marks. He blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him, he is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those along with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strengths cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas. He is the king of noble ones. He is the guide of those who journey to the city of nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His form is incomparable. He's not stained by the realm of desire. He's not stained by the realm of form. He's not affected by the formless realm. He is completely liberated from suffering. He's completely and utterly liberated from the skandhas. He is not possessed with dhatus. His ayatanas are controlled. He has completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He is liberated from craving. He has crossed over the river. He is perfected in all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavats, who rise in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the bhumi, where he sees all sentient beings. All these are the perfect virtues of the greatness of the Buddha Bhagavat. The Holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent. Its words are excellent. It is uncorrupted. It is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies. The Bhagavad teaches the Dharma well. It brings complete vision. It is free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further. Seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma, which is taught by the Bhagavad, is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pithy. It is trustworthy and puts an end to the journey. As for the Sangha of the great Jnana, they enter completely. They enter insightfully. They enter straightforwardly. They enter harmoniously. They are worthy of veneration with joined palms. They are worthy of receiving prostration. They are a field of glorious merit. They are completely capable of receiving all gifts. They are an object of generosity. They are a great object of complete generosity. The protector who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of oceans of merit and virtue, I prostrate to the Tathagata. Pure, the cause of freedom from passion, virtuous, liberating from the lower realms. This alone is the supreme ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma, which is peace. Having been liberated, they show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to the disciplines. They are a holy field of merit and possess virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha, the leader. I prostrate to the Dharma, the protector. I prostrate to the Sangha, the community. I prostrate respectfully and always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Having faith in these inconceivables, therefore the fruitions are inconceivable. May they be born in a completely pure realm. So as I mentioned before, tomorrow night we have a Dharma talk from the parsons in South Orange. Saturday we have White Tara practice. And the next Dharma class after that, the first one of the new year, will be Venerable Karuna, our friend, our sister Jackie, will be talking. What topic did you select, Jackie, as if I didn't know?
No, it's the introduction. It's Dharamsala through the eyes of a Western nun.
Dharamsala through the eyes of a Western nun. And she has good eyesight, so we're going to learn a lot. Anyway, thank you for your patience with bearing with the internet as it is, your kind listening. Big love to all of you. Take care.